Welcome everybody on this rainy Saturday morning. Well, at least it's rainy where we're at here in the East Coast. I don't know if it's rainy in the West Coast, but and weather could be a factor this week in some of these games. Obviously, this is the Fantasy Firebox. I am Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, joined always by my man Pittsburgh John Coker. This is Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're following Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're following Heat Ratio Sports. Both of those platforms that this is broadcasted through. Triple threat, John. This is a new concept we started. We're going into week 4. It's pretty neat. We're battling against each other. We got to pick a quarterback, a running back, and a receiver / tight end. Those 3 guys, whether it be the top guys, whether it be valuable guys, against their DFS values, who do you think is going to be on top? And first of all, John, how was your week last week?
I mean, my season long did okay. I don't think I did too good with my picks last week, but outside of fantasy football, life is good.
See, that's yes, life is good. That's the thing. I got my MRI results, and I do not have a torn Achilles, which life is good. I do have to go through rehab. I do have to go to PT. I do have to learn how to walk again, but that's okay. I could deal with that. No surgery, so we are good. So let's recap. Last week, our triple threat looked like this. Okay, we were both in on Dalvin Cook. John took Derek Carr. I took Joe Burrow. I took Tyreek Hill. John took AJ Brown. I think it was almost like a wash, to be honest with you. Obviously Tyreek Hill did nothing. Right. AJ Brown did score a touchdown. Dalvin Cook gets hurt. Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, decent. But again, these weren't blockbuster picks here. But again, we're going by value, right? We're going by value. So let's get right into this week's triple threat. So, John, I'll start you first. You're going to be on the right. So, John's going big time money, right? You're going all Bills.
I went money. And I mean, it really starts at the quarterback position. To me, you either pay up for the top 3 or you get some big time value, because nothing in that middle appeases me. Even with Herbert, his health. Brady hasn't been performing. I mean, we looked going into the season, there was like 12, 13 solid fantasy quarterbacks, but there's only 3 that rose to the top. So I look at paying up for those guys. I went with Josh Allen, still pairing him up with Stephon Diggs, and Barkley and Chubb have been my 2 horses. I got both of them in 2 different leagues. It was a plan going in. So yeah, I mean, I'm on the Bills this week.
I like it. Listen, I'm a Saquon guy. It's funny. Right before, obviously, everybody make sure you tune in to Sirius XM today, 5 to 8. You hear Jason, you'll hear Sia, and you'll hear the Jigsaw Hour from 7 to 8. And, when we were on Sunday nights before we moved to prime time, it was all the New York guys were on Saquon. And I was like, I'm really not buying in. And then, John, all of a sudden, I start reading, I start doing research, and I'm like, you know what? This dude's driven right now, and it's the only offensive weapon they have. So, oh no, I jumped on the train. I did draft him in my season long. I drafted back-to-back backs. I had a 12th pick in a 12-man league, and I took Saquon and DeAndre Swift. And again, I like Chubb too, best pure runner in football, in my opinion, but he wasn't available. So I was doing really well. Now I'm going to go a little different this week on a triple threat, because obviously, Jigsaw gets a little different. Okay. I think this is the week where Russell Wilson breaks out. I know a lot of people talk about it's against Vegas. Okay. And I'm looking strictly money. Listen, John's paying $8,400 for Josh Herbert, top guy on the slate, rightfully so. I'm going 6,700 for Russ, and because I think he can every bit be the top guy this week. I think this is the week it clicks. He's too good. Let me just tell you something. This is not Russell Wilson. The problem is not Russell Wilson. The problem is Nathaniel Hackett learning how to call an offensive play set with Russell Wilson as the play caller and not Aaron Rodgers. See, that's what people have to remember. He was so used to having a magic man, being able to just cover all deficiencies. Just give it to Aaron and let him cook. Unfortunately, now with Russ, you can't do that. So he's learning that. And I think this is the week you put it all together. And I'm going to go wild card here. Okay. I know everybody wants to pay up, and that's fine, right? When you look at these top guys on the slate, as far as running backs in that 4 o'clock slate, Jonathan Taylor's $8,800. Now, John pays down $800, going with Barkley. I know he probably likes Nick Chubb as well at $7,900. But for me, I'm going to go way down. And what I saw last week in Khalil Herbert just shows me this. I said it before, and I'll say it again. When an offense is struggling, and finally they find a spark, and last week it was a spark to help that young quarterback. And I'm not saying David Montgomery is trash. I'm just saying Khalil Herbert was a spark, and they're playing the Giants. And I'm not worried about the Giants, even though they're playing in New York. Even better, I'm with it. I like Khalil Herbert 5,700. And then I'm going to go super wild card here. I think Drake London this week becomes a top 3 receiver on the slate. Okay. You got Diggs, you got Adams, and then I'm going Drake London. Listen, this kid has just continued to produce from day one. Okay. 7, 12, 6. I'm just looking at the targets, right? He is bar none the number 1 receiver. It's not Kyle Pitts. Okay. He's going to get at least 6 to 8 targets in this game at home against Cleveland. Marcus Mariota has been very serviceable, actually more than serviceable. He's been pretty good for Marcus Mariota. So I like Drake London this week, John. I like him at 6,100. That is my triple threat. Now let's go to this. Let's go to some FFVP values, because this is a good part of the show where we talk value. And John, we're both all over the place. We both have some value. John's going to go right off the bat, man. You're going to ride the Matt Ryan $5,600 train, huh?
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But sometimes the train stalls out in the middle of Montana. I'm going with Matt Ryan. I think the Colts are going to wake up this week. I was really tempted to play some Jonathan Taylor, but that price tag is still too high. The price tag is for what he should be doing, not what he's been doing. So even if he hits like I think he hits, it's not really value. So I do think he's going to have a good game. But yeah, Matt Ryan, Pittman, I think they get back to their connection. I expect a better game. I mean, this is a wake-up call for that team, period. They need to figure this out. They need to start getting wins. I mean, to lose those games in the division, I mean, that's just crucial. So 5,600, Matt Ryan, I'm going with it.
Listen, you said the number one thing that I have an issue with, and that's the price point of Jonathan Taylor, because here's this guy nursing a toe injury, a guy who after week 1 hasn't really been playing up to his price tag. And I think this is a good Nyheim Hines week for anybody who, especially with a week where a lot of running backs are injured, where you have guys like DeAndre Swift not playing, you have guys like Austin Eckler with with the share, 47% snap share. What the hell is going on out there with Joe Staley? I don't know, right? But this could be a nice week of filling week for a guy like Nyheim Hines. Now you go to Giants here, which you had a bunch of lists, so forgive me, and you can name anybody that's on your list. I just took a couple really low guys, Richie James and Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard's out. That offense has to move. Golladay, oh my goodness, is that not the worst contract in the history of maybe not even NFL, all sports? I mean, what did he get? I don't know if it was week 1 or what week. He got 2 snaps. 2 snaps. Dude got I think a $70+ million contract. Don't know how many years, but I mean, Kadarius Toney, I don't know. He just can't. He ain't getting snaps. He ain't showing up. So they go to young, reliable, hungry Ricky James, however you want to call it. Remember, he had a blow-up game or 2 in San Fran last year too.
Yeah, he did.
So he's been there. He has nothing to lose. I mean, he going into the season, he had to be 4th, 5th on the depth chart. But it seems like Jones, he's getting the targets. I think he had, I don't have numbers in front of me. I think he had 2 weeks with 6 catches and 1 week with 5, or maybe that was on targets. But look, I expect him to get volume, and I think Jones is going to start getting comfortable with his tight end like he did in his heyday with Evan Ingram and Bellinger at 2,800. Once again, this is how I got my triple threat. I do have them in the lineup, along with Khalil Herbert, along with Daniel Bellinger. So that is how I ended up making room for him, my triple threat. But yeah, and I think Barkley's going to have a good game. It's not that I'm in love with the Giants, but somebody got to put up stats, and I think those are going to be the guys this week.
And against a lackluster team in Chicago, right? This isn't yesterday's defensive Chicago that we're used to. Okay. But you make a good point. Just starting about Richie James, like John says. I mean, listen, not only is he 5.66 on targets, but he's got a 90% catch to target ratio. Okay, which is huge, which means he's catching everything thrown to him. So I love it. Again, no Kadarius Toney. You talked about. Listen, the thing with Galladay, Brian Dable's an interesting individual, just so everybody knows. So he's one of those cats I love. He's an old school cat in a sense that if he doesn't like you in the sense of your attitude and your effort, he don't care how much money you're getting paid, you're not playing. And I think that's what's going on with Galladay. He's a very lazy kind of player, and Dable sees it, and he's like, you know what? You're just not going to play. And that's what happens. Now, for me, I'm gonna go a little different. John, I'm going Pittsburgh for John here. But this is a George Pickens week to me. Again, we're seeing the flashes, right? And I say this all the time with young players. It's just about how much do they get to be trusted, right? How much of the playbook do they understand? And a running back, how much blitz coverage can you pick up? How many times you fumble the ball? That gets you on and off the field, right? For Pickens, it's going to be, can I learn all of the playbook? Do I understand how to play at receiver? There's no question he's dynamic. 3,800, John, for me, for this week. Okay, I look at this and say, this is prime time for him against the Jets. And again, I know there's a lot of mouths to feed out there. I get it. But this dude has been really, listen, he keeps going up, all right, with targets. So, he had 7. And again, 40% reception to target ratio, which is bad, but he'll get there. He also has Mitch Trubisky throwing to him. So everybody relax, okay? But some phenomenal catches. His points 137. This is going to be a double-digit point week for me for George Pickens. So I really like him. I'm going TJ Hawkinson. I'm going tight end. Detroit. No Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's out. No DeAndre Swift. He's out. Okay. I look at this game and go, okay, Jerome Williams going to be the main guy out of the backfield. I think we all know that. But who's going to be the guy that Goff throws to? Goff doesn't have the biggest arm in the world. Seattle, it's not the same defense with Sherman, and Earl Thomas. These aren't the guys. Cam Chancellor. Okay, so I like Hawkinson. I think his price point is super low for a tight end. So I like a 4,100. And I'm going to throw this one in there. Okay. This game between the Eagles and the Jaguars, over and under is already 47, 48 and climbing. Okay, they expect a lot of points to be scored here. Sirianni, okay, as much as, he's very methodical in his approach, he knows who's coming to town. It's Dougie P. Won a Super Bowl in this town. He doesn't want to get upstaged by the former coach. He's going to throw some wrinkles into this game. Boston Scott out. Okay, Gainwell, as much as he's explosive, they have some issues with him holding on to the ball and learning almost dropped the FCC rule. And learning the coverages. Okay, so that's a big deal. They really like Trey Sermon. He's elevated from the practice squad. The biggest knock on Sermon was always he couldn't stay healthy. He's healthy. He's learned the playbook. I'm telling you, I expect one of these games. Remember, I'm going to throw this one out there, John. We're going to go back a little bit. Remember that San Francisco 49ers Charlie Garner game for the Philadelphia Eagles way back ago? Who was Charlie Garner? This guy came out of nowhere. Insert 2022 Trey Sermon. I'm telling you, this is going to be a huge Trey Sermon game. Everything I read, we are in Philadelphia. To say, I think it's going to be a big Trey Sermon game. So there's your FFVPs. And John, I'm going to give you the thoughts real fast on this one before we get to our anytime touchdowns and get out of here. My sneaky quarterback value play this week is Cooper Rush at 5,300. Dak is out. We all know that. There was some speculation. Maybe not. He's out. Michael Gallup comes back this week. Noah Brown has been playing pretty well. Cooper Rush has been playing pretty well. Okay. And so now you have CeeDee Lamb. You have a full complement of receivers in Gallup and Noah Brown. Okay. Even though there is no Schultz is questionable, I don't expect him to play. Ferguson, Hendershot, they both were serviceable. But I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. And John, Cooper Rush, if he throws, or I should say if CeeDee Lamb catches, even though he made up for it, we're talking about a 20-plus point DK game for 5,100. You know, it's not out of the question to me that Cooper Rush at home against the Redskins throws up about 225, 230, and 2 touchdowns. Am I crazy or what?
It's not crazy. Yeah, and it could be good value, but yeah, I mean, getting Gallup back's going to help. He's a Cooper Rush is a game manager. All right, he got a limit. He can't turn the ball over. Number one,
What up, Rich?
it would be it would be nice if his receivers helped him out a little bit. Yeah, Noah Brown's playing good, but you know, he can put. He doesn't have to do much to get value. I mean, put it that way. But I would spend the extra $100 and go Geno Smith, no doubt in my mind. I almost had Geno Smith in my.
He was on your
triple threat.
list.
Yes, I like Geno Smith's value better than Cooper Rush. I think he has a higher upside.
Listen. You know what? I'm going to put that in there while we're live because I want to put that in there. Is he 5,400?
He is 5,400.
Because I think both of these, I know we mentioned Matt Ryan, I know you did, but I think both these guys, like you said, if you want to go full on value, top player money, maybe you do want to start Jonathan Taylor. These are the kind of guys that I think you're going to have to look at because that price point is going to be super, super high. What's up, man? Come on, I have a question. Full PPR. We got Courtland Sutton or Deontay John. John, this is 100% for you. You're the Pittsburgh guy. You're the analyst here. You got that spreadsheet in front of you. You know, what do you think? Deontay's been pretty steady with targets.
Yeah, I mean, Deontay's going to do what he's going to do. Is he going to find the end zone? Is Trubisky going to get that offense moving whatsoever? You just called out the upside of Pickens potentially this week.
Yep.
I got to go Courtland Sutton. I'm sorry. Double-digit targets the past 2 weeks, catching 7-8 balls, averaging over 100 over the past 2 weeks. He hasn't seen the end zone either. But you also had Russell Wilson in your triple threat.
Yep.
So I'm thinking I would go Sutton and not look back. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that Pittsburgh offense. I mean, Freiermuth deserves some. Claypool gets some work. Najee out of the backfield. They got weapons, but Trubisky only throws for 200 yards. I mean, your upside is kind of capped. So I like Courtland Sutton over Deontay this week.
I like that. I'm going to second that. I like Courtland Sutton. I think this is the breakout for the Denver offense. And like John said, double-digit targets. And listen, Las Vegas has nobody to cover anyone in the secondary. So Courtland Sutton is turning into that number one guy for Russ, even though I thought it would have been Judy, but he got injured and things that I think Russ just likes throwing the ball up to Courtland Sutton. So I definitely see a red zone opportunity in plentiful for Courtland Sutton. So I think you can start him with confidence. So let's go our anytime touchdowns, John. Now you know you had a ton of them. I took your top three. I you're going Damian Harris, Chris Olave, who I think is tremendous. It's funny, John. I only hear your thoughts on this. So I was on 95.7 The Fan in Rochester, the sports bar with Gene Battaglia, and every other week I hop on there, talk some fantasy, and they asked me, a lot of people are selling. Do we sell high on Chris Olave? I'm like, no, that's an offense looking for a playmaker. He's stepping up, right? You already see Michael Thomas out. Right, Jarvis Landry, not the same guy. This is the number one guy in his offense. How do you trade this guy, right, John?
Yeah, no, I like Olave. He was actually the only him and Pickens at a later draft spot, but Olave was really the only rookie receiver that I felt comfortable drafting.
Yep.
I felt not because of talent, because of opportunity. I mean, but I will say more and more rookie receivers are coming in and just blowing up. But Chris Olave, this was the guy that I like. Look at what Jameson Winston did in Tampa all those years, chucking the ball up. Chris Olave is what Traquan Smith should have been. Do you know what I mean? Now you have dare I say, elite receiver. You can't trust Michael Thomas's health. And then, Landry, he reminds me now of like Tyler Boyd in Cincinnati. Old, reliable, get your 5 balls, you know what I mean? Maybe get you a third down, but not really giving you those fantasy stats. Olave, I think air yards, he's blowing it off the roof. That's Jameson's MO. Look, I don't know how Dalton's going to be this year, but or this week in terms of that receiving core, but knowing that Thomas is out, look, he's watched the games. He know Olave got talent. I love Olave.
I like Olave too, and I like him to score this week too, plus 205. Rich says, yeah, Thomas out. Yeah, absolutely. I was keeping him before that. No problem, man. We love the comments. Keep them coming. We'll always answer whatever we can. And then you're going Marvin Jones plus 370. I like that. A little value there.
Well, look, Kirk is going to have his hands full this week. I'm not saying that he's not going to get looks, but he's going to have his hand full this week. Zay Jones is out. I don't know if he is officially out. I believe he is. If not, I expect him to be out, which now means Marvin Jones, who didn't have a bad year last year. I mean, that whole offense was struggling a lot, but he's really the other guy that Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to look at. So I think he has a good shot. Look, Eagles defense, they've been playing really good. I expect Slay to take care of Kirk for the most part. But, the rest of the guys, Marvin Jones, a savvy vet, I could see him sneaking by and getting open for a touchdown or even in the red zone.
Yeah, I do like that call, especially now Avante Maddox is out. So for the Eagles. So this could be a week where you see Marvin Jones. He's been a nemesis when he was with Detroit against the Eagles too. So that's something to look at. For me, listen, I loved seeing JK back last week. It's the multitude of injuries to be able to be back on the field and look good, look quick. I think there's a lot of scoring in that game. Obviously, you picked Diggs and Allen. I think that's going to be a high scoring game in my opinion. I think Dobbins gets that early look in the red zone. I'm going to ride TJ Hawkinson. I think this is a Hawkinson week. I could definitely see a Hawkinson line of like 7 for 80 and a TD. So for 4,000 in DFS at tremendous value and plus 155, I'll take it. I'm going to ride the Trey Sermon train again. Boston Scott, right? He gets those little plays here or there. He's out now. Now Trey Sermon picks up the slack. So I like Sermon, and I can't believe I'm doing this, John. Can't believe I'm doing this. But I'm going Carson Wentz plus 500. Again, I think he's going to be running for his life. You saw what happened with Philadelphia. That offensive line is not as good as it used to be in Washington. Micah Parsons, okay? Listen, be careful. I could see Wentz rolling back, doing that quick 180, bootleg out to the left, and rolling into the end zone. Plus 500, I think, is extreme value. John, before we get out of here, any more value, any more final thoughts? Anybody that's sticking out your mind, one game, anything you got to say before we get out of here?
No, I mean, just the two values that we didn't touch on. I think Rashad Penny at 4,900
Under
is
5.
ridiculous. They got a juicy matchup. And Romeo Dubs showed up last week, still 4,500. That's how I'm getting my triple threat in, touching on Penny, Dubs, those values.
Yeah, Dubs is turning into that guy. Lazard still to me is the number one, and he always will be. But Dubs is a younger version of what Randall Cobb used to be back in the day. And you know how much Aaron Rodgers loved him. Some Randall Cobb still loves Randall Cobb. He just can't do what he used to do. But Dubs, Watson's in the doghouse ever since they're dropping that touchdown, right? Aaron Rodgers like, yeah, I'm not looking at you, kid. You're done. I gave you a chance. All out. I'll throw this up one more time just so everybody sees. This is our triple threat. This is who we're going with. I'm on the left. John's on the right. We're going to battle this out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your triple threat is. And again, man, it's Saturday. It's like I said, it's rainy here on the East Coast, but hopefully it's nice where you're at. Shout out to and thoughts and prayers to everybody that was in Hurricane Ian's path, people, the recovery efforts out there in Florida. Just some of the pictures are just devastating. It's going to be a long road ahead for a beautiful, beautiful tourist attractive area. But a lot of people's lives are at stake out there. Like there's lost lives. They've lost memories. So I'm sure there'll be donations and poured in, but whatever everybody could do to do their part. Thoughts and prayers always help. So, as always, man, this is the Triple Threat. I am Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. This is Pittsburgh John Coker. This is Win Daily Sports. Everybody have a fantastic Saturday. Get those tickets ready, man, and we'll catch you back here next week.